Comic Timing is member supported by listeners like you over at patreon.com/comic timing. You keep us happening, and we thank you very much for keeping us happening. For as little as $1 a month, you can join in on the behind-the-scenes action, get occasional articles by this one, Chris Naudis, as well as Raph and anybody else who decides to write for us. We also get some behind-the-scenes audio every now and then. I still have a Brent Casino one that I should probably put together. It's like 20 minutes long. Video, a whole bunch of other stuff. Thank you very much for your continued support at patreon.com/comic timing. And if you want to give a one-time donation, paypal.me/IAM sci-fi. Thank you. Hey there, folks. My name is Ian Levinstein, and welcome to episode 261 of Comic Timing. You know, you're away from your home setup for a couple of episodes, and it just feels really nice to be back into the normal flow of things. I'm greatly appreciating having the my regular mic and my regular mixer and my regular audio directly coming from the phone for the music. It's feels good to be home again. And on that note, hi, Chris.
Hi, I'm just going to say you did it to yourself, and that's what really hurt.
Hey, come on. I got to record from a brewery with Brent. It was good times. It was pour your own. I spent way too much money on pour your own because that's how they get you.
Oh, we should go back to the pour your own place in Brooklyn.
Oh, yeah, the brewery, right? The one with the feather bowling.
Yes, Randolph Beer.
We
are not sponsored by Randolph Beer, but you should go to Randolph Beer.
But if anyone's listening and happens to be one of the owners of Randolph Beer and wants to sponsor the... All right, fine, anyway. But either way, it's just the two of us this episode. Insert music if you so desire, but we got a lot to talk about. I teased the Captain America director's cut that we both happen to see. We're going to talk about that. Got some Star Trek stuff to talk about. Even weirdly enough, some more Jim Shooter stuff to talk about. So there'll be plenty of conversation to be had between just the two individuals on this particular episode. So looking forward to catching up.
Oh, thank you very much for having me.
Yes.
I mean, we have an agenda, though. I will say before I forget.
Yeah.
When you teased the thing about Captain America and you mentioned it had never been shown before, I believe it was actually shown in Savannah at a film festival down there.
Okay.
My source for this was when I checked in on the on Letterboxd. A bunch of people were like, "Oh, saw it at the blah 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 film festival."
Okay.
It was either Savannah or Charlotte. It was a southern city I have been to.
I do remember them saying in the intro that there were technically two separate director's cuts. Like there was this one that he kept with him at all times, and then there was another one that he put together that had toured a couple of different conventions. So I'm not sure whether or not it was this one that aired in the Carolinas, or whether or not it was that other one. But either way, a director's cut has definitely been aired before.
I don't know for sure because I'm only going based on, I saw this. It was really interesting. And then I read the description and it sounds a lot like what we saw.
Oh, absolutely.
We don't need to talk about that immediately.
No,
I just wanted to make that slight correction. I mean, if you want, honestly, you know what? Can we kick this off where I can give my response to the Comic Timing episode about Fantastic Four?
Sure, by all means. I mean, we're slowly but surely getting Blue Team's thoughts and opinions on Fantastic Four, which are drastically different than those that were put forth by Gold Team. So by all means.
Who knew that, the Blue Team would be like the nicer, we like things more team? Because I always think of, that group of people as being fairly, as much nicer people, honestly.
Yeah,
like this
fair.
Is me having known you for 21 years now.
Damn,
I've known
wow.
Raph for 19 years, Brent for 11
Thereabouts.
years? No, wait, sorry, 16 years.
Yeah.
I forget it's 2025.
Right.
Jamal, around the same amount of time, Dono, and when I see Brandon, I just mostly just know from us conversing regularly because I was not a regular on Comic Timing
Yeah.
until, to be honest, after we broke up.
Right.
So
Yeah, and I mean Brandon, you've known from random conventions here and there as well long before we regularly did this podcasting thing. But Dono definitely since podcasting, yeah.
yeah, yeah. I think this isn't that Brandon's not memorable. It's more like Dono. I always think of like his Instagram. Yeah, I don't need to say more. Everyone knows. If you haven't seen his Instagram, see his Instagram.
Exactly. As RuPaul would say, boost. All right, anyway.
So yeah, no, my major thing listening to that episode, I mean a few things. I love Murd. For some reason you mentioned that I seem to get along more with Murd than other people do, which I think is just very funny.
Yeah.
I know Murd pointed out something about Fantastic Four that I did take issue with, where he said it seemed like in the movie they had solved racism.
Yeah.
I thought it was a silly thing to say. I love you, man, but that was a very silly thing to say.
Yeah.
Just because there aren't like race riots doesn't mean that they've solved racism. They hired a black woman as like their major domo secretary, chief of staff, whatever. They never I that is actually something I would take issue with in the movie is that it's never defined what that woman's job is.
Right.
I mean,
yeah.
I don't even remember her name, probably because they only said it like once or twice in the film.
I would assume publicist or, like maybe like assistant or main assistant or something of Sue. Like
Well, that's why I used chief of staff.
Yeah.
Because in the film, there's very much that feeling. The Fantastic Four aren't just a superhero team; they are also like Earth's chief scientists.
Right.
And again, I don't disagree with the feeling that they've basically replaced the UN. So I feel like Sue would have a staff. She would have a chief of staff. She's not even a first lady in this world, but there is still that feeling like she has employees and people who take care of her and make sure everything gets done. And that, but anyway, I don't, that wasn't like a huge issue. I just thought it was a funny thing to say. Cause I was like, in New York, we managed to coexist, like interracially without like anything happening here.
Yeah.
Which I will say, I mean, we're not going to talk about this a lot, but I was in DC yesterday for no real reason other than that I had an Amtrak voucher that was about to expire and I thought it would be fun.
Yeah.
So I get there. I mean, I knew going in, it's just getting there and it's like, okay, how many groups of National Guard troops are you gonna find? And it was like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. It was like 5. It wasn't that bad.
Still ain't great, but yeah.
Yeah, not great. And they were all around the National Mall. I walked like 2 blocks to Chinatown, and there's no one to be seen. Like a normal neighborhood, they're not in the normal neighborhoods which would be where crime actually takes place, not on the mall. It's all for show. I mean, we know this. I saw one act of violence down there. A woman threw some bread to ducks, and chaos broke out.
How dare you? I mean, with the ducks, I assume.
No, the ducks went crazy. The ducks ducked it up, and there was like pigeons, and there was just avian chaos.
Nice, Scrooging coins everywhere.
Yeah, it was fine. We should have a little comic timing trip to DC soon.
Yeah, why not?
Yeah. Fantastic Four. Actually, so Ian already knows I'm not giving a full review here. You guys don't need to hear a full review. But I did let Ian know these thoughts a few weeks back, and I'm going to state them as succinctly as possible. I feel smart. I'm so smart. No, like Fantastic Four, I saw it twice in theaters. My main review of it is like, I feel like I like it more when I'm not actually watching it.
Okay.
Because I realize I like the first half better than I like the second half. And it's because I like the world building and like the optimism and the hope and like the shininess of it. And then once the plot kicks in, I'm a little less enthused. But going into that whole shiny, happy thing, I was thinking about how this movie, it makes me very emotional in some ways. So it has a lot in common with Spider-Man Homecoming. And you know how like Spider-Man Homecoming, the name has a double meaning because it's both in the movie, he goes to the homecoming dance with MJ. But at the same time, we on the outside as the viewers know it's called Homecoming because Spider-Man has returned to Marvel. It is now part of the Marvel Cinematic Universe, or at least that character is. withstanding all of the spider people who are still stuck in Sony land.
Hmm.
Uh, and Fantastic Four is, of course, very similar in that it is the return of these characters to Marvel, to the Marvel Cinematic Universe. So there's that kind of homecoming feel there. But I also realized it's, in addition to that, it is a return, one, to New York.
Hmm. Yep.
Uh, and it's like it's fine that Marvel does stories that are not set in New York City.
Yeah,
I
sure.
mean, I think it's they always like to say it's the world outside your window. And the
Hmm.
world outside your window is not always New York. Me and Ian live in New York, but the rest of you all
Right.
probably don't.
Hmm.
And it's fine to have a story set in Malibu, like Iron Man's in Malibu, to do stories in,
Hmm.
Chicago, like Ironheart,
Hmm.
or, to do something in Florida, Puerto Rico. I remember
A-
was Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. once.
Ant-Man in San Francisco.
Yeah, that's a
Yep.
big one
Hmm.
because that's the city is really a part of his story.
Right.
Like, there's no problem with this. Like, it is a universe. It should encompass as much as possible.
Hmm.
But at the same time, when you read old Marvel comics, and you're really immersed in the lore, and I, having read all of the early Avengers and all of the early X-Men, that early Marvel was very much based in New York because that's where the guys actually were physically located. That's
Sure.
where their offices were.
Hmm.
So it is so deeply embedded into the Marvel Universe's DNA. So to see it actually in the Marvel Cinematic Universe's DNA in this corner also felt like a homecoming.
Hmm.
I am fully aware that a lot of what we saw is just CG,
Hmm.
backgrounds or whatever, but it
Yeah.
felt like New
It
York.
did. Yeah.
Like they don't always achieve that in films. Like they'll film it not in New York, and New Yorkers usually know, nope, that's Chicago, that's Cleveland, that's, blah blah blah, right?
I'll be curious how much with the new Spider-Man it feels like New York, considering a lot of it's being filmed in Glasgow. Uh,
Yeah, that's yeah, because cities have flavors, and
mhm.
that's why I think, especially now, especially when I've traveled so much, it always feels weird to watch a movie and realize like this is not filmed in the location it purports to be.
Mhm.
Hawkeye, I think, was especially egregious with that because it went back and forth.
Oh
Like
yeah,
it'd be like it
yeah.
would go straight from Atlanta to actually shot in New York back to Atlanta, and it went back and forth.
Hmm.
But yeah, it felt nice. It felt good. My inner New Yorker was very happy. And it's just like it just felt this big, weight off my chest, and it felt really lovely in that aspect.
Hmm.
The other aspect of Homecoming that I get from the movie, though, and this is the big revelation that I had, is that it's not just about returning to Marvel or returning to New York or the appearance of Marvel's first family, the whole basis of their heroic age. It's not even just that.
Hmm.
It's also the optimism of the like early Marvel, its dedication to science. I think we've talked about this on the podcast before, how like DC usually gets put into the cubby of it's very mythology based.
Hmm.
It's about magic and gods. I mean, even if, they're not actually gods, but there is that aura around them that it's about like these really big primal ideas. I think is the
Hmm.
best way to put it here.
Yeah.
And we talk about, and then we talk about that with DC. With Marvel, the big thing we've always said is that they're more relatable.
Hmm.
And this isn't to say that Superman or Batman don't have problems. Clark Kent is a very relatable dude when he's not saving the
Oh
world.
sure. Yeah.
But that has been Marvel's MO, like almost since the beginning, especially with Spider-Man, who's like always broke. He has
Hmm.
trouble staying employed, keeping a girlfriend, keeping an eye on his elderly aunt. Like a lot of his issues are, based in his human, everyday life than it is in his superhero life.
Hmm.
So I would say that DC is based more, like I said, in magic, and I've always felt Marvel's more based in science,
Hmm.
which again, DC has scientists. There's nothing, I'm not saying they don't believe in
Yeah.
science, that they don't, cherish science. But when you think about who are the biggest characters in DC, and it tends to be like, okay, Batman, Bruce Wayne, he's a billionaire. He's super smart and he's like a secret scientist. But his big front is, again, just, billionaire and detective.
Hmm.
Superman, Clark Kent, he's a reporter. Wonder Woman, whatever freaking job she has this week, never a scientist though. She's,
No.
archaeologist or a teacher or a ambassador. I can't even remember half the jobs she's had. Army nurse.
Yeah.
But then you look who are the major characters in Marvel, and it's like Reed Richards, scientist. Peter Parker's not really a scientist, but everyone talks about how he's the science guy. Doctor Doom.
Peter
What?
Parker's enough of a scientist, to be honest with you. Like, I mean, he's been at times as much of an inventor as Tony Stark, depending on the day of the week. Like, he had Parker Industries for a while in the comics, and was putting out these, brand spanking new inventions and stuff like that. So he has his moments.
Yeah, I need to read more Spider-Man. I'll be honest, that'll probably be the next thing I hit once I'm done immersing myself in X-Men right now.
Sure, yeah.
But yeah, like you think about like the major characters, like Tony Stark, industrialist, scientist, that's what he does. Hank Pym is a major character. It's a little disappointing that most of these characters seem to be men, but this is historical wrongs that have yet to be fully righted. But yeah, like Marvel's more science-based. So I feel watching this movie where you have this group of scientists, I'm using that for all four of them because they're all engaged in the pursuit of science. And, they are revered for being scientists. The reason they have powers is because they were doing science. They were doing space flight, which is, like a sub-branch, sort of. And the movie also was very much into like, hey, remember when we used to love space flight and we used to get excited about it and astronauts were celebrities?
Yep.
Like I always think of they had an exhibit about Apollo 1 at the Intrepid once, and it was just very sobering because they had a case that was just letters from people, condolence letters. After Apollo 1 being the flight that never got off the ground. The three astronauts literally burned to death inside the capsule.
Right.
It was a huge tragedy, and it was just but people reached out and they felt bad, like it was our hopes being dashed. But we still charged ahead and we still did the space race and we still got a man on the moon, and then we sent men like a few more times, and then we just stopped. But this movie I felt like it was an affirmation of principles when it came to that. It's like, here is Reed. Reed is a preeminent scientist, and he's got three other very smart people working with him, and a lot of their solutions are going to be science-based. So it was a homecoming to those principles of the Marvel Universe.
And
it was,
and even their attempt to to dash the attempt by Galactus to eat the world was entirely based upon science. The transportation bridge that Reed was building was then basically scaled up, and they attempted to use them throughout the world in order to quite literally teleport the Earth into another location. May not be the soundest science in the world, but it's at least like comic book science, and I'll give it that.
It's what Dr. Venture would call super science.
Yes.
Which I think is probably the best word for it, because the word I personally use is science with an exclamation point. I once, on Library Thing, I had made a tag science with exclamation mark, and I think other people had also been using it, and someone merged it with the regular science tag, and I wrote this long post explaining why the two should not be merged. I was like, science is learning all about DNA and space, and it's the thing that underpins our society. Science is turning people into dinosaurs.
Yes. 100% true. Yep. Absolutely.
Yeah. Like, and they were like, yes, you are correct. They've separated them and everything. But super science, I think, is actually a pretty good word, because I think a lot of what we think of as that is usually from superhero comics.
Yeah, absolutely the case. Yep, definitely.
So, but yeah, you're right. It's very science based. It was a little bit going back, I guess, a sort of review of the movie. It was a little bit of a janky plan because he had only just teleported an egg. And I'll admit, like, there's like the nitpicking part of my brain that goes, did you actually crack the egg open to make sure it was okay on the inside?
Sure. They made an omelet off screen. I
mean, because that's what I feel like. I feel like it could look fine on the outside and look like crap on the inside. And my other nitpick about the movie was how everyone got super mad when they found out that the Richards didn't want to give their kid to Galactus. And I feel like you could have gotten half of those people to shut up by simply pointing out what Galactus had told them was that that Franklin would replace him, right? Like Galactus didn't want to be Galactus, and Franklin would replace him. And I, as a genre savvy movie, comic book, just media consuming person, would go, wait, I know how this works. You let Franklin become the new Galactus, and your deal is with the old Galactus, so new Galactus don't give a crap and eats the Earth anyway. That's all you needed to say. Well, he was probably going to turn our kid into a Galactus, and then he would have eaten the Earth.
Right. Yeah. And then everyone would have been like, "Oh, okay. All right. So it wasn't exactly a resolution. It was just a delay."
Yeah, it's just like, again, in any other story, because I don't think that's what the screenwriters really imagined with this, but any other story, that totally would have been what happened.
Oh, definitely. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
So, I mean, yeah, again, I enjoy the movie. I will say I think the score is absolutely fantastic. And Michael Giacchino is definitely in the Oscar race with this one. I know that might be like a big swing, but it's an excellent score, and it makes me very emotional when I listen to it. Again, this is how I had my science homecoming moment.
Yep.
And I did actually enjoy Superman more. I saw it 5 times. I decided to tap out after that because I could have beaten Raph, but I have other things I want to do with my life.
That's perfectly fair. Let him have it. Let Raph have it. If there's a world record for seeing Superman in the theater, he's probably not even close to approaching it. But still, he had fun. Yeah.
I guess that'll be my final note of that is like, well, one, with Superman, I do feel like Nicholas Hoult has a good chance at an Oscar.
I would hope so. Yeah.
I mean, I could see, I think he should get nominated. I'm not going to say he should win, but it would be nice because, I mean, we look at who's the other person wins an Oscar for being a villain in a DC movie was Heath Ledger. And it would be nice for someone to not be dead when they get the Oscar.
Joaquin Phoenix won it too. He's still alive, to be fair.
Don't mention Joaquin.
Yes. But look, we've learned one thing, and that is the only superhero that is allowed, or the only superhero villain that is allowed to win an Academy Award is the Joker. That's it.
That's pretty funny, honestly.
Yeah. It's so weird because like everybody thought, I mean, not a villain, but still everybody thought that Black Panther was a lock,
That was dumb. Oh, it was so dumb.
I know.
Because they moved the award around because they just thought he was going to get it, and then he didn't. So they screwed up the Oscar ceremony for nothing.
Yeah, I know.
Because it should be Best Picture should always be the final award of the night. No ifs or buts. It doesn't matter. Even if the movie selection that year sucks, Best Picture is the most important award. Do not change that. Don't make a gamble. They gambled and they lost. But we know that the people running the Oscar show are idiots anyway.
Yeah.
And my last note about Superman will be, I told Ian this already. It was the funniest thing. It was the day before. I'm at my parents' house. My niece is there. She's 4. She has now seen Superman at least twice.
Yeah.
She likes watching it. She likes the dog. She's doing whatever she's doing. I'm talking to my mom. And my mom's like, doing a little bit on her phone. And she's like, oh, did you hear that crypto is crashing? And I go, well, crypto is a scam anyway. Then I hear, crypto is a dog.
Amazing.
Yeah, and I turn to my niece and I just go, yes, he is. Well, my mom is like laughing hysterically. She's just like, she's doing that little, thing off in the back.
I would much rather think about Crypto the dog than Crypto the currency any day of the week. So she's got it right. Yep.
Yeah, I just love that. Like, I love when little kids try to have conversations with you. Like, they don't have the context of what you're talking about half the time.
Yep.
So it's really funny.
Oh, God.
So anyway, what's up?
No, we were surrounded by kids on our flight back from Florida, and incredibly hyper 4-year-old twins realize that there's another kid almost their age sitting behind them, and then as they're getting up to leave, they basically have their giant meeting of hyperness, and I get to hear things like, "My grandfather died. He was 102." I don't even.
I'm doing the math on that one, actually.
Yeah, yeah, and for that matter, also, I was born on December 31, December 31st, December 31st.
Well, they're still figuring out the English thing. I'm more curious about the grandfather was 102, so he was 98 when the kid was born.
Yeah,
probably. You said it was like 4-year-olds.
Yeah, yeah.
So how old was the parent and the grandparent when they had kids? That math is not mathing for me.
I know. Well, look, either way, it was simultaneously hilarious and God, I gotta get off this plane. God, I gotta get off this plane.
Oh, it just occurred to me where like it could have been like Al Pacino type situation with the grandfather.
It's a possibility, and
I don't. Again, let's not get into
let's not get into it exactly. Talking about old people may as well venture forth into this before we get into the meat of it all. Previously on Comic Timing, we did discuss the passing of Jim Shooter and both the positives and negatives the man was there for over the years. J.J. Jackson, the man who's maintaining Jim Shooter's website since his passing, he was also a business partner of Jim Shooter. I completely missed this, and you sent this to me earlier today, put out a blog post on July 29th about one of the things that led to Jim Shooter getting fired, which plain and simply was supporting his fellow, Marvel colleagues and coworkers that were not getting the royalties they deserved for international prints of comics. They found out partially due to touring and going to other countries and finding these editions of comics that they didn't even know existed had been printed, and none of the creators were getting their proper royalties from it. They went back to Jim. Jim went up to his to the owners of Marvel of the time and were like, what the hell's going on? At the time, this was still Cadence Industries, and Cadence was like, yeah, sure, we'll get on it, and then they didn't do anything. He went back to them again. They got sold to New World Pictures. He went to New World Pictures. New World Pictures was like, we're going to do something about it. They didn't do something about it, and it got to the point where Jim was like, we're going to do a class action lawsuit against you. That's the only thing you're apparently going to listen to is if that happens. And their response is, great, Jim, you're fired. And they fired Jim, but they also gave the creators the royalties, thinking that Jim was going to go ahead and go forward with the lawsuit. He never did. Partially out of loyalty to Marvel, partially out of, I guess he figured there was no point at this point, but enough stink was stunk, and people got their proper royalties in the end. I had never heard this story before. I don't know how public it had been, but another feather in the cap of Jim Shooter on what I would say most definitely is the positive side of sticking up for his fellow coworkers and colleagues.
Yeah, so I've mixed thoughts on this. I found the link on Reddit. I've been on Reddit a lot the past few weeks. I apologize.
That's fine.
That I saw it. And first off, I want to point out in the post itself, he said this post won't go viral. And he was correct because I hadn't heard of it until today. Someone had posted it. Yeah. Like you said, you hadn't heard about it.
Nope.
It's a little disappointing we didn't talk about this more. You say that we hadn't heard about it before, yeah, it definitely was not public.
No.
Because I believe this definitely would have came up when he died.
Yeah.
Because people pull up everything when you die. Like every good thing and bad thing just come out on the internet when you die.
Yeah.
I think it's a little hyperbole to say it's why Jim Shooter was fired from Marvel, because I cannot believe that is the only reason would get rid of someone. Because that is if that was the reason he got fired, what you are creating is a ticking time bomb.
Right. Exactly.
Because like you said, he didn't do anything because of loyalty. He could have easily gone the other direction because he was known as a kind of, asshole at times. He's a ticking time bomb. If you were to fire someone just for this, you are creating conditions for legal issues that will go on for years.
Oh, sure. Yeah.
Because I guarantee you could have even brought in like the labor relations board on this one. If people aren't being paid what they're actually due by contract.
Right.
Like there's so many legal issues with that. Yeah, I fully believe that, yeah, Marvel was not paying out international royalties, wasn't
Hmm.
even bothering to collect them,
Yep.
is what this post said. And
Hmm.
that's very interesting to me. Because I mean, 10 years later, the company would be known because of freaking, was it Perlman?
Yeah.
As being so penny pinching
Hmm. Yep. Yep.
that like when people were fired, they're literally taking their comp copies back. You're not allowed to take those with you, even though once you've handed it to the employee, that is legally their property.
Oh, sure. And think of how hard it's been for artists to get their boards back. Like boards that legally belong to them. The art itself, sure, you could say belongs to Marvel, but and hell, even DC and other companies, so that they'd be able to continue to make a living when they don't have any more, work to do, or in their older age where they quite frankly cannot continue to do so.
Yeah, so I mean, this isn't a referendum. I don't really want this to be the point of the episode, but I do think there is a bigger discussion to be had about original art.
Absolutely.
Because one, I feel like part of the problem is they never fully hashed out who really owns that original art. Because it would have been just very easy to put in the work for hire agreements that the boards belong to Marvel or the boards belong to the artist. Because again, if it's work for hire, you can just say that the physical materials belong to us or they don't.
Hmm.
Like that was what caused the problem is they never actually delineated that because I I mean, again, I do not know what was going on back in the 60s or the 70s, like internally. I was not even alive,
Sure. Yeah.
but I don't think anyone really gave a lot of thought
Hmm.
to it at the time
Yeah.
because you'll see this throughout media, right? Like in the early era of television, well, first of all, the first TV shows were broadcast live because they were just, it's just like with radio. They're just like, oh, let's just see what works and see
Sure.
what
Yeah.
people tune into.
Right.
And then eventually they had the idea to record them like, like with radio shows, it makes sense because then you can record everything in one day and have a week's worth of episodes. And
Right.
a lot of, that's how a lot of radio shows and TV shows still work.
Hmm.
I mean, that is the entire binging model at this point
Oh yeah, absolutely.
to make the whole season at once, right?
Yep.
But the thing is like the early days of TV after they got over the live era was that they didn't see a future for the stuff they after it was broadcast, right?
Right.
Like we recorded these episodes, let's say very infamously, the BBC.
Oh my God.
BBC
Yeah.
makes Doctor Who,
Yeah.
but they don't think there's any point to keeping the show around. They aired the episode, people watched it, people either liked it or
Yeah.
didn't. They tuned in and they didn't, right?
Hmm.
So they taped over, the whatever the tapes, whatever they were recording it on, the professional quality recording equipment.
Johnny Carson here in the U.S. Same thing. Johnny
Yeah,
Carson's
well,
earliest
especially with that.
episodes. Yeah.
Those actually are a lot more like those feel more disposable.
Yeah,
Right.
yeah.
A talk show usually comments on the issues of the day. So
Sure.
why would you keep that around? Because you can't really re-air it, which they
Right.
learned was bullshit. Because once they did start re-airing them, like the Carson reruns still got good ratings.
Absolutely.
Right?
Yeah. Yep.
I mean, I'll admit, yeah, sometimes I will watch old episodes of like The Daily Show or
Yeah.
whatever,
Sure. Yeah. Why not?
but yeah, they saw no market for that, so they didn't keep it around, right? So that's why we've lost so many classic shows, like a lot of Doctor Who, a lot of the Avengers.
Yeah.
We're talking about the British show here again.
Hmm.
Yeah, like you say, yeah, Carson. I think we lost. We don't have like most of early Jeopardy, which is weird because
Oh
the show's
yeah.
still on.
Yeah. Right.
Like it wouldn't have been a big deal if the show had just disappeared, but when they revitalized it, now suddenly people were more interested in like, oh, what was the show like originally? And now
Sure.
we can't show them
Yeah.
because it's not around.
Yep.
But that I feel like was the same impetus, the same thought with the art. The original art, it's like, okay, we send it back because we don't really want to keep it around here.
Yeah.
It's a pain. Like you can't just dump those in a shredder.
No.
You
shouldn't at all.
Well, no, but I'm just saying,
Yeah,
like,
I know.
nobody saw a reason to keep that stuff around.
Right,
So that is, I think, the reason why some of it was returned in the first place. Like, hey, can I have my art back? Because when you're an artist, you're attached to your art,
Yeah.
right?
Of course. Of
If you
course.
did something really well, you want it.
Yeah.
It only started to become an issue once comic collector like industry and fandom started. So that's really in the 70s because that's when conventions started to pop up.
Right.
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 So that's when it became an income stream because then the artists who had their boards and are like, okay, I don't really need all of these. I'm kind of hoarding at this point.
Hmm.
Let me throw one on the table and see if somebody will buy it for like $5, which
Right.
is still a lot in the 70s. Okay.
Hmm.
I don't need people saying, oh, they're selling it off as a pittance. And I'm like, it's 1970s. Stop.
Right.
Inflation is a thing.
Yeah.
But that's when it starts to realize, oh, wait, I can actually make a little aftermarket money on the work I did, the work for hire,
Hmm.
because it's the idea that I sold to Marvel or DC or whatever,
Hmm.
not the physical object that I implemented the idea on.
Sure. Yeah, absolutely.
But it's again, because it came out more organically, that's why it's not in the contracts.
Hmm.
And when it's not in the contracts and it's not explicitly delineated, it
Yeah.
becomes an issue.
It's like it's definitely hard to say where the rights lie when it's not explicitly in there. It is these
Yeah.
days, but back then it most definitely was not.
Yeah. And the thing is, though, is that I always think of Marvel, and this makes me angry to this day, was the fact, how Kirby was in a very famous fight. I did not mean to say fart there. A very famous fight with Marvel to get his original artwork back.
Hmm.
And the thing is, though, is it was just sitting around the office.
Oh, I know.
There was
Yeah.
a closet just filled with the art, and the
Hmm.
art started to disappear.
Yeah.
Like Marvel had no real plans for this. If anything,
No.
they were just being petty and lazy about it.
Basically.
Like that's the issue again with not having contracts, because they could even say, well, this is what we bought.
Yeah.
They just simply kind of stonewalled him, and that's incredibly shitty.
Yeah.
They're just being, just avoiding it. It's like, what do they call a pocket veto?
Hmm.
You
Hmm.
just kind of shove it in the drawer and forget about it, and then
Yep.
it just either goes through or it doesn't,
Yeah.
you know?
Yep.
But yeah, that's just how I feel about the original art thing. We're talking about Shooter. Sorry,
No, no,
I
no, no, no,
realized
no.
that we got so.
No, it's
Yeah.
fine. This was a good deviation to make, but bringing it back to Shooter in this same article, they bring up the Ding Dong the Witch is Dead party that was thrown after Shooter was removed from his job, and parties like that don't happen just out of pettiness. Like they happen for a reason, and we know that Shooter had his ups and he had his downs. He had his supporters and he had his haters. And usually you become a hater for more than a reason outside of jealousy. And there were some things that he did that were very questionable while in the position, but also I think in the end it kind of evens itself out. Finding out stuff like this about him makes me think a lot more positive about Shooter than the guy who made Secret Wars 2. This is the more important stuff for me personally to focus on, that he was this much about creator rights and them getting stuff that is owed and deserved to him, possibly to his own detriment at times. And it's just a nice thing to know, whether it's entirely true, whether or not it's entirely warranted. Obviously, this is coming from a article from someone who was literally a business partner of Shooter and has Shooter's interests at heart when it comes down to it.
Yeah, I would like to see more people weigh in on this.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Because so he's talking about there are creators, they mentioned the X-Men team specifically went on a tour. And by X-Men team, it's going to include Claremont.
Oh, yeah.
And we know that Claremont was in the UK a lot. He did Excalibur with Alan Davis and everything. And, so we know that they were taking these trips and seeing their work. And they mentioned, the piece mentioned, you'd be at a con and you'd be asked to sign something, and it would be from an imprint, in Italy or France, instead of the main Marvel.
Yep.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
I think there are definitely the seeds of truth in this post, because you have to consider, okay, if this happened in the mid to late 80s and, Shooter's fired, but then a few years later, they established Marvel UK.
Mm-hmm.
And Marvel UK wasn't just about creating new characters. It was also about making sure, getting the books published there.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it was probably an attempt to lock down the money that was flowing to all these third-party publishers.
Yeah.
I would say, yeah, international is also one of those things that people do not think through when they start up a business. They think very locally, and that's where they focus all their efforts, and they make sure everything is locked down contract-wise. It's interesting that they said that Marvel didn't seem to care, or Cadence Entertainment didn't seem to care,
Yeah.
because nowadays we know that like companies penny pinch like crazy.
Oh, of course. Yeah.
And the idea that someone else would be making money off your property and you're not getting the money from that, like it's very strange, honestly. Saying that it
Yeah.
wasn't enough to justify actually doing the bookkeeping,
Well,
that part feels like bullshit.
no, that part is bullshit, because you know that Marvel was making money off of that in the end. Cadence was making money off that in the end, because licensing deals exist for a reason, and that's why these reprints are happening. It's just it's not funneling back down to the creators themselves.
Yeah, they might
It's
be
staying
trying to
with
say,
that.
well, you'd only get paid like 15 cents. And I'm like, well, at that point, then you have to actually produce the paperwork that says they would only get 15
Oh yeah.
cents.
On a related note, I really, really, really want those Mexican Spider-Man comics to be translated into English one of these days officially. I know there have been fan translations of them, but like I want this published. If we could get John Byrne's fanfic officially published over at Marvel, we can get the what if Gwen Stacy had not died, the ongoing series from Mexico printed here in the US in English. Like it can frickin' happen. Like I want
Yeah,
that.
well, it's not Marvel, but I would say if you can get the Bat manga
Oh yeah.
published in English.
Yep.
I
Yep.
mean, I own the book that Chip Kidd did at Bat manga, and then I own all 3 volumes of that manga. And the fact that they made that happen, and that's like not a cheap endeavor
No.
to do that,
No, it's
because
not.
I remember, like Chip Kidd said, they had to go to Japan, and I don't even know, they didn't have the original printing plates originally. When he republished it in Bat manga, I think they just had the books and they had to scan them in.
Yeah.
But I think you can correct me, in a later episode, whatever, if I'm wrong. But I think they did manage to find the plates.
I'm pretty sure they did as well. Yeah.
Yeah, it was just shocking because, again, Japan is also very similar to us, where they're like, well, we don't need this. Why would we keep it around?
Right. Yeah.
So I think it was between the two moments they had managed to find them.
Yep.
So,
Yeah. Well,
but yeah, anything could happen. You're right. Like if there's a will, there's a way. But with Marvel, I feel like it's unlikely when I can't even get every issue on Marvel Unlimited.
yeah, like great random issues of X Factor missing or stuff like
Not
that.
even random.
Yeah.
It's issues 50 through 60 or 51 through 59 or some around that era.
Yeah.
And I Googled it, and someone else had the same question, and it was Reddit. Again, I've been on Reddit a lot, and somebody was just like, it's because those were never reprinted.
Okay.
So a lot of Marvel Unlimited was just stuff that's been reprinted. Like they already had it because
Yeah.
they had to make a digital file in order to print the books, the
Right.
trade paperbacks, because we switched to digital printing a long time ago.
Oh, yeah.
We've been doing digital printing, at least in comics, it's been since the 90s.
Yeah.
Right?
Yep.
Comic craft, very fascinating. Reading old X-Men and looking at the credits, and I see Richard Starkings. And I noticed, I'm like, oh, these letters seem a little more uniform. And then I flipped to the credits. I was like, Richard's. Oh, so I'm actually watching the transition in real time over to Comic Craft.
Yeah. Yeah. And
You remember how it was? Yeah.
oh yeah, no, absolutely, yeah. That basically became a uniform method of lettering, and the fonts were very much in a similar fashion once they actually coordinated and used Comic Craft's system for their lettering process. So yeah, absolutely. What I was going to say is that on top of X-Men, like one of the reasons why there's so many Star Wars comics on Marvel Unlimited, you can thank Dark Horse for that. Dark Horse, had so many of the Star Wars comics digital for years under their system that when it became Marvel, they literally just got the files from Dark Horse and they were able to then put them on Unlimited and just threw a Marvel logo on it and, voila. So
Yeah, it's so weird to look at a Dark Horse Star Wars comic and see the Marvel logo. It feels so wrong.
Oh yeah, same could be said for the Conan reprints that are coming out, or the G.I. Joe reprints that are coming out from the Marvel era that just say like Image or Titan on them instead.
Yeah. What I wish they would sort the hell out at this point is Rom the Space Knight.
Rom is getting is getting reprints right now. So is Micronauts. So I'm hoping that they will be available digitally as well. Like the actual physical reprints are out there now. So it's the next step.
Yeah,
So,
it's just getting complicated because Rom is being more, from what I read, he's
mhm.
being more integrated into like all of Hasbro's stuff
Yeah.
because they have all their comics with its IDW, right?
Yeah, I believe. No, no, no.
Or is it Boom?
Hasbro actually. Wait, Hasbro. That's a good question. Let me double check and see where they
Yeah,
are
let's
at.
check because I'm sure someone's listening to this and already screaming into the ether.
Yeah.
So Ian
Let's.
will look this up real quick.
Yep. Let's see. Hasbro Comic Book Universe. Um. Yeah. So it was IDW up until 2020. So I don't know where they are now, to be honest with you, because GI Joe and Transformers, that's Image. So I'm guessing that most of those others
It
are
would be Image
probably
then.
then yeah, then it's got to be with Image then. Yeah, straight up.
Because I really doubt Hasbro's splitting up their stuff between companies.
Hmm.
Because again, they are creating a universe. We
Yeah.
saw that even when we were at Toy Fair.
Hmm. Oh yeah, well, the Energon universe. That's what Transformers and GI Joe are uniformed into right now. Like Robert Kirkman's Skybound in general out of Image is what Transformers and GI Joe are under. So yeah, I would assume that everything else would be under that as well.
Yeah. So, but that that was just the thing. Yeah, I want him to sort that out. I wish I could read a lot of these old
Hmm.
issues. What's more interesting to me is just that there's a Rom-shaped hole in the Marvel
Oh yeah.
universe
Hmm.
because he was in a lot of books, and those books can't be on Marvel Unlimited because of the weird licensing rights. Because I didn't realize like how bad it was until someone pointed out that Rom is the reason. I mean, it's kind of retconned by now, but he's the original reason Rogue went good.
Really? Huh.
Yeah, that she because there was an issue where they met, where they fought, and
Hmm.
she actually used her powers on him and absorbed part of his psyche, and he's so good and noble that Rogue kind of had to rethink her life.
Okay.
I
Interesting.
mean, it's kind of retconned by now, and honestly, it's not vital to the character
Hmm.
because I always understood it as just like after she absorbed Carol Danvers, and it wasn't even Carol Danvers' psyche,
Hmm.
it was more like it screwed up Rogue so much she needed help.
Yeah, yeah. Well, the Rom Epic collections are being published by Marvel physically. Again, I don't know when if digital is ever going to wind up happening, but they are available. They're going through all the ROM issues under Marvel, and Micronauts as well is now I think in like volume 3 or 4, if I remember correctly. So the deal has been reached on that, at least for Marvel, to be able to put these back into print outside of what Hasbro is doing with Image. So ROM right now is at least back in print in one form or another, which is at least good to see.
Yeah, that's good. I mean, we live in the era of, as Patton Oswalt called it, everything always available forever, which
Hmm.
isn't even true. We know that. We
Oh,
know
of course not.
that stuff is being pulled off of Disney, pulled off of HBO, and
Hmm.
it's ridiculous.
Yeah.
But I feel like there's no reason to not have these things. I
Oh,
don't
sure. Yeah.
know if it really costs Marvel anything to not have stuff
Yeah.
or rather to have stuff and it would save the money to take it off. Like I don't understand any of that. Like because they said some of the reason that like HBO might remove stuff is they don't want to pay royalties,
Hmm. Yeah.
which is very silly because they removed like the classic Looney Tunes cartoons.
It's so stupid. Yeah.
Yeah, that's their property. They're not paying out royalties for that stuff.
Yeah.
It's
Well,
ridiculous.
they're making more money off of licensing that to other streamers than they are having it on their own streaming service, or at least that's the explanation that they give people.
Yeah, and it's always weird because then the people who are paying them for the licensing rights, is it really paying off for you?
Hmm.
Is my big question there.
Yeah.
Like, are you really getting anything out of that?
I mean, at least most of the Looney Tunes stuff went to Tubi, which as of now is still free. So like we're not paying any extra to get it. However, you're stuck with ads because it's Tubi. So that's the one.
Yeah, no,
The one
because
write-off.
ads still make money somehow. It's shocking.
Yep. Yep.
Yeah, and I get some really interesting ads sometimes. We're not, going to talk about that too much.
No.
It's just funny to me.
Yeah, and we will transition to the final thing that we were going to talk about here, and that of course is something that not many people have been able to see. Whether there are one version, two versions, three versions, whatever. The 1990 Captain America movie is kind of a forgotten memory to a lot of people. Like most
It's
people,
not forgotten.
well, no, 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 no. It is remembered for one meme, and that's it. Thanks, Mr. President. Like outside of that, I guarantee you that there are people listening to this episode that have never seen any version of the 1990 Captain America.
So no, well, I'm nitpicking your choice of words rather than like the idea behind them.
Yeah.
In that it's not forgotten. I think anyone who watched it remembers it and remembers how
that's
bad
true.
it was.
That's very true.
But
yes.
you are correct in that there are people who have never seen it because you had never seen it.
That is true. Yes, I had never seen it up until now.
Yeah, I saw it because my family was were regulars at Blockbuster, and we rented everything.
Yeah.
I have seen so many, what's the studio, Full Moon?
Oh my God.
So many Full Moon movies. I've seen every, like, Trancers movie.
Oh my God.
I've seen, oh my God, what's the Critters?
Yeah,
and all of the sequels.
Yep.
I've seen Dr. Mordred.
Oh dear.
Do you even know what that is?
I've heard of it, but oh wait. What, that's the bullshit Doctor Strange, right? Yeah.
Bullshit Doctor Strange with our favorite Trek actor.
Wait, Rene Auberjonois?
Jeffrey Combs.
Oh, Jeffrey Combs. Okay, got it.
I'm sorry. I know. I set you up for failure on that.
No. That's fine. That's fine. Well, no, I remember that one in particular because it was actually originally going to be a licensed Doctor Strange movie, but they lost the license, so they were like,
I will be
"We're gonna
honest
make it anyway."
And mention I did not even realize Jeffrey Combs was in it until like after the fact, and I remember somebody go, "Oh, remember Dr. Mordred?" I was like, "Wait, is that Wayun?"
Well,
okay.
Well, so this Captain America movie, as we said, came out in 1990, was directed by Albert Pyun. Now, the thing about this is this particular version that we saw was at the Asian American International Film Festival, AAIFF. And
is there an I in it?
There is. Yes, I'm looking at the page right now.
Okay, because I find that interesting to call it Asian American International. I like, but the first adjective there would indicate not really international, because once you get international, you're not really an American, are you?
I hear you, but
the point is Asian American, like Raph.
I know. But with this one here, most people have seen the crappier version, which is the version that was released, to theaters, later released on DVD. There's a Blu-ray release available.
Wait. Was it actually released in theaters?
I think it had a very small theater run. Don't quote me on that.
I'm gonna check this.
Yeah,
hold on.
I know it was released mainly on VHS, but I could have sworn it had at least a small theater release, but I could be wrong about that.
Well, I want to be sure about this because okay, so thank you, Wikipedia. I guess I should give them $3 or whatever.
Yeah.
I gave them, like, I used to donate to them and now I don't, and I just get those emails being like, you're one of the 1% that actually gives us money, help. Yeah. Because I saw they had the banner on Wikipedia where they're like, if every person who saw this message gave $3, we could fund it for like 10 years. And I'm like, I'll give you $3 because I get way more than $3 use out of Wikipedia.
That's what it was. It was limited theatrical release internationally, but
internationally
not,
it was direct to video here. Just like I think the Punisher movie from the same era was also direct to video.
Yes,
which is the reason we saw. We're like, I don't know. Again, I don't know why my parents rented so many direct to video movies. Well, we rented a lot of direct-to-video movies.
Yeah, and Captain America in this movie, played by Matt Salinger, J.D. Salinger's son, I believe. Is it son or grandson? Yep. Okay,
son. Just
okay.
Son.
Yep. Ronnie Cox in this movie, Ned Beatty. Like there's names you would recognize, and then plenty of names that you would not. Like you said, mostly straight to VHS. The version that was released was a linear cut of the movie where everything that happens essentially happens in the order that like time-wise.
So let's be fair. First off, you cut me off when I said everyone listening to this podcast should donate $3 to Wikipedia.
Yes.
I think we all use Wikipedia far more than the $3.
I agree.
So
yes,
but no, linear. Let's be fair about that. First off, most movies are linear.
No, I know.
Most movies are chronological. Let's use the word that we actually mean, chronological.
Yes.
The past. Things happen are shown in the order they happen. Yeah. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6.
Yes.
And the thing is, yes, in storytelling, you might have a flashback. There's a reason we call it a flashback.
Yes.
Like somebody will be like, I remember, but if you want to be very Family Guy about it,
Hmm.
this reminds me of the time.
Yeah.
Um, but the thing is with the Captain America movie is that unlike how do I put this? So like talking about the 2011 Captain America, the MCU movie,
Hmm.
that movie is about Steve Rogers in the 1940s,
Correct.
right? It
Correct.
is his origin story, and that movie runs mostly, yeah, actually it's entirely chronological.
Yeah, it is.
It's
Yeah.
entirely
Hmm.
beginning, middle, end, one, two, three, four, five.
Hmm.
The problem with this movie is it is chronological, but it has Steve Rogers' origin, Steve
Hmm.
Rogers in World War II,
Hmm.
Steve Rogers getting frozen, Steve Rogers in the present day.
Yeah.
Half the movie is just basically one long preamble
For what
to the
happens
second
later.
half.
Yeah.
Unlike, again, with First Avenger, the movie is just about the 1940s. And
Exactly.
if this movie were just about Steve Rogers in the 1940s, it still wouldn't be a good movie,
Yeah.
but it would not be this bad
Oh yeah.
movie.
We will also point out, so with this director's cut, they spice it up a little bit, essentially. Like we don't just stick in the 40s to then have the plot in the depending on whether or not you pay attention to the text of the movie, 1993 or 1989, because they sure do say multiple things multiple times about whether it's the 90s or the
Okay.
80s.
So yeah, no, the chronology is a little weird. First
Yeah.
off, like the movie does the whole Steve Rogers in World War II.
Yes.
But again, like I said, that's not even the point of the movie. The point is the present day stuff. So
Absolutely.
you're spending half the movie to even get to what the actual movie is about.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're completely, and mind you, we were not the only people in this theater who were like, what is up with this timeline?
Yeah.
Because the movie was shot in 1989, they
88,
said?
88,
88,
89.
89.
Yeah.
But the text on the screen actually says it's like 92. So it was
93.
set in the 93. It was in the
Yeah.
future from when it
Yes.
came out, which was 1990.
Yeah.
But no point, like the dialogue, people still act like it's 1980s.
Oh yeah.
They still say like, "Oh, I'm an 80s girl,"
Which is a problem with the cut, because again, this is a rough director's cut, which was put together, scanned, like restored as much as possible. This is Albert Pyun's personal director's cut. He literally owned this copy. And then when he passed, it was passed along to I believe one of the film libraries, correct? If not,
I believe so.
yeah,
But yeah, no, the thing is, like, so the original film is this very plotting, like very poorly paced movie.
hmm
And from what I mean, what it sounds like is like because Albert had bigger ideas for it.
oh yeah,
I'm not gonna say he was not a virtuoso director. Like
no,
they pointed out how he trained under like somebody who worked Kurosawa, I
hmm
think it was.
yes,
Like he has a traditional training, like he knows film techniques, and you can see that in some of the shots.
hmm
But the thing is, like the movie, there was obviously a lot of studio interference, and it wasn't a very good studio. I think is the important part to point out here.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
Italian Red Skull for one thing.
I don't even they because at this screening we saw, and they had the screenwriter there,
Yeah,
and no one explained this to us.
no,
We still do not know why it's like this,
it
and
was
like
it
it's
was
not like
the
the screenwriter.
it was the
What's up?
it was the insistence of the studio more than anything else.
And we don't know why they thought that.
They at least in my brain, what they were probably thinking of is, if we put Nazis in this movie, we can't sell it in Germany. Which, whether or not true, because there's plenty of movies that do still have Nazis that are sold in Germany, as long as you don't put it on the promotional material for it, is a possibility. But
There's
that's
also here's
that's
the thing
yeah,
about that, and mind you, that's how you know the studio people don't actually look at the source material,
yeah,
because us as comic fans could be like, yeah, they that's why they make Hydra the villains.
yeah, exactly.
Because then, I mean, Hydra are still Nazis. I'm not going to argue about that with anybody. Hydra are still Nazis, but you can at least skirt German laws with that because they're not using swastikas
Mm-hmm.
or the SS symbol. They
Yeah,
have their own symbol. and you can kind of fence them off from all the no-goes as
Yeah.
far as German law and German culture is concerned at this
Yeah.
point. But yeah, for some reason that is still as yet unexplained fully, even though we had the freaking screenwriter there, yeah, Red Skull is Italian, and this is where like the original movie had already fallen down. Is that the original movie? And I remember this again. Like me and Ian are talking here as a person who has never seen the original cut of 1990 Captain America,
Yeah.
and as a person who did see the original Captain America on video with my family.
Yeah.
So I would have been like 10 or 11 years old at that point, probably 10. The movie starts with the Red Skull's origin.
Yes.
It's already a mistake.
Absolutely.
Like if you're watching a Captain America movie, I'll be honest, like they've given you no reason to care about this.
Yeah.
But it starts off with like this very smart Italian child playing piano, and he gets kidnapped by the Italian Nazis. I don't even know if they gave them a name in this. And then they experiment on him and turn him into the Red Skull. Like this is ground zero for this movie, which is already a mistake. You go in expecting Captain America, you want to see that. The Pyun cut, yeah, I mean Ian hasn't fully explained it. I'm sorry.
Yeah. The Pyun cut intersplices basically like it starts the action of the movie in the 80s earlier than the original version does by essentially moving forward in the plot. Like we see Captain America on the plane, landing in the Arctic, and then being found in the Arctic, being revived and all that jazz way, way earlier in the plot of the film than it happens.
Yeah, well, it recenters the narrative on the present day.
Yes, it does.
Like I said, you can't, basically the way the original cut had it is it's two movies here, right?
Yeah.
It's Captain America fighting the Red Skull in the 40s, and then Captain America fighting the Red Skull in the 80s. And the two don't intertwine as like thematically or narratively in any way. They're not connected. It's not like the Red Skull's plot in the 40s is the same plot in the 80s.
Yes.
Because in the 40s, he's going to shoot a rocket at the White House, which is like the scene, like he ends up tying Cap to the rocket and shooting him at the White House.
Yeah.
And then Cap manages to damage the rocket. Okay, I just made a very obscene gesture with my hand. I know anyone watching the video, I'm going to address that. Yeah, I just did that. I'm sorry.
All right.
But he starts, he's kicking. Wait, there we go. That's better.
That's better.
He's
better.
kicking the rocket with his foot.
Yeah.
Ronnie Cox, as a child, happens to witness this. So the rocket doesn't hit the White House, and instead it gets diverted to the Arctic.
Special effects are so terrible for that scene, by the way.
Yeah. And then the plot in the 80s or 90s, depending on when the movie's actually supposed to be set, is that the Red Skull's scientists have developed like a drug or whatever that they can use to mind control people. And they're going to give it to the president so that the president will become their puppet. Again, President Ronnie Cox. That the small child who happened to see Cap not hit the White House grows up to be the president of the United States.
Yeah.
Also, a movie where Ronnie Cox is not the bad guy,
which is a nice change of pace, quite frankly.
It's nice. I'm happy for Ronnie Cox, even if the movie's terrible.
Yeah. And on top of that as well, we have to mention that Red Skull's daughter factors into this. Not named Sin, because that's a whole other Red Skull daughter experience here. But this daughter is sent by the Red Skull to do his bidding and take out Cap and also capture the president.
But she doesn't really fight or anything. She's just a sexy Italian lady.
Exactly.
But the thing is, so like you have two separate narratives that are not connected in any way. It's not like the Red Skull is continuing his scheme. Normally, in like literally any other movie, the two would be connected. So at least you have that thematic connection that like maybe the fight was just put on pause, right?
Yeah.
But it's not that. It's again, Cap wakes up and the Red Skull's got a new scheme that is completely unrelated to the previous scheme. You did not actually need that first half of the movie at all for this scheme to make any narrative sense or anything. They are completely detached from each other. The Albert Pyun cut, though, like he understands this, that you have these two halves of the movies and you're just waiting for the actual movie to start.
Yes.
So instead the movie is refocused on the 80s section. I'm just gonna say 80s because fuck this 1993 bullshit. It's like, okay, this is about Red Skull has a drug. He's going to use it to control the president. The president is Ronnie Cox. When Ronnie Cox was a child, he remembered seeing Captain America. Like everything that happened in this 40 section becomes a flashback.
Yeah.
So when he's like fighting the Red Skull, we get like shots of his original fight with the Red Skull. Like, oh, here we go again. You know, it's a little corny. Because again, I said this is still not a good movie. Let's be fair about that. It's better, but it is not a good movie.
Yes.
You know, and it's like, let's show his origin. You know, and like when he's emerged into the modern world, they can contrast what he remembers in the 40 section by making him into flashbacks. Like they create a direct connection between the different scenes, so the movie feels less like this broken in half, you know, narrative.
Yes, and they also utilize a couple of previously deleted scenes to flesh out storytelling even further. We get more. we get some more. We get some.
You know what I want to bring up here?
Go ahead. Yeah. Go.
So I'll be honest. I did not remember if this was in the original. Our friend Andrew, who's with us, asked me, "Is that from the original cut?" And I said, "I thought it was, but it is not." I double checked. I went on YouTube and looked at the original.
Love it.
So again, mind control drug.
Yes.
And I do remember he does explain, like, "Oh yeah, we're going to give this drug to the president," but a deleted scene has him actually demonstrate how effective the mind control drug is because he gave it to his gardener. And then he goes to the gardener and he's just like, he shouts at the gardener from like there. We forgot to mention the Red Skull lives in a very fancy castle.
Yes, he does, with a piano.
Like it's a piano on like a ledge.
Yeah.
It looks like the piano from the Super Mario Brothers movie.
Yes, it does. Yeah.
Every time they showed the piano, I just kept going, "Peaches," like in Ian's ear. But yeah, he has this castle. He has a gardener at the castle. He's on the parapet. My English is bad here.
Yeah.
You know, he's up on the ledge of the castle thing, and he sees the gardener. I really want to say that word, and I can't remember it right now. It's late. That's the problem.
Yes,
We've been
exactly.
recording for a while.
Yep.
He's up there. He's got his guys around him. He wants to explain how it works, and he shouts down to the gardener. I forget the name of the There's a kid there too.
Yeah.
Like let's say he's named Giancarlo.
Right.
You know, and he's like, you know, "Hey, kill Giancarlo," and we're like, "Oh, okay." And the gardener takes his shears and he's walking with them in front of him, like with the edge pointing out.
Yep.
And he walks up, and it's a small child.
Yeah.
And he literally walks up to the child, and then it cuts away, and there's no sound effect because this was a deleted scene. But then the next time you see the gardener, he's still clipping the azaleas or whatever, and there's blood on the shears.
Yeah.
Insane.
It was messed up. Like, I mean, it's weirdly kind of badass, the scene itself, but at the same time, it would have never been in the final cut. Like, there's no way.
I will go with this, is that we still think of superheroes as being very lighthearted, or at least the general public. Like, as comic readers, we all know that 1986 either changed or ruined everything. And, you know, made people obsessed with making superheroes darker, which has leaked into mainstream superhero media.
Yeah.
You know, our infamous 3-hour Man of Steel episode is right there for the listening.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah. But yeah, that was not a scene that was going to fly in 1990 because superheroes are supposed to be bright and happy, and the villains are not supposed to be that serious. We are only 4 years out from Cobra, you know, parachuting to safety.
Yes.
Right? At the same time, it has the same vibe, and I think we might finally be at the point where we are okay with scenes like that because of Superman.
Yes.
Lex shoots Molly in the head. It's a horrific scene, but it actually underscores how evil.
Oh, sure.
How he's actually an evil villain.
Yeah.
Because it's very easy to look at Lex, or since we're talking about Captain America 1990, like Red Skull is not a character you can really take seriously because he looks ridiculous. He has this ridiculous castle with this ridiculous piano, you know, and he's fighting a ridiculous Captain America. But there's like that one scene that they apparently shot. I keep saying apparently. They shot it.
Yeah.
But they shot it and then didn't use it. But now it's there again because it's like, no, he's supposed to be... He's a Nazi stand-in. Of course he's evil.
It's just so tonally inconsistent with everything else in the movie when you think about it. Like like I like the scene, don't get me wrong. It's just like it just feels so out of place with everything else that's presented.
Yeah, because let's be honest, mind controlling the president is kind of a silly supervillain plot.
Yes, it is.
I mean, in general, like Cap just acts very silly for for most of the movie.
Yeah.
I love this. I was gonna say an example of how silly this movie is that so he, when he emerges from the ice and gets back to, he's frozen in Canada, mind you.
Yeah.
So he's in Canada for a good chunk of like the present day. He finally makes his way back down to California because for some reason in this version, Steve Rogers lived in California.
Of course.
And he finds his lost love, who's now, happily married, has a kid with some other dude.
Who is Bernie in this, by the way, rather than
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, exactly. Like,
there's no Peggy or Sharon Carter in this.
well, no, there's a Sharon. There sure is a Sharon.
But she's not Sharon Carter.
I know, yeah.
So he finds her again, and she's like, "Oh, you can have a place to stay. You can just stay with my daughter."
Yeah.
Which is incredibly silly, and like the movie doesn't play it like that, but anyone with a brain in their head, it's like she is trying to get like her daughter laid. Like they don't really play up the romance, which is good because it would be forced and ridiculous. Like the movie, there's no way this movie would have handled a romance well.
Yeah. Yep.
But yeah, it's funny that she's called Sharon, but I was like, just make her Sharon Carter then. Just make the husband Carter. Like what?
This movie went through so many different iterations until we finally got here, by the way, because this almost got made by the Cannon Group, aka the guys behind Superman and all that jazz back in the day. But they lost the rights, and then 21st Century Film Corporation essentially picked it up, and that's when the movie was finally made. There were actors cast for that version. Like Michael Dudikoff was going to be Captain America, and Steve James was going to be in it as Falcon. Like there was going to be a Sam Wilson in that version of the movie. And it never got made.
Again, something I find interesting about this Cat movie, again, they had the screenwriter there, is that like everyone involved, or like the creative people, namely I'm thinking of Albert Pyun and the screenwriter.
Stephen Tolkien is his name.
Yeah, they're like, oh, I love the comics. And it's like there's very little of the comics in the film.
Oh, no. Stephen Tolkien made it perfectly clear. Yeah. And by the way, Stephen Tolkien's Q&A is online. Watch it. It's slightly unhinged. It's kind of amazing.
But can I just be honest?
Yeah.
It wasn't the best Q&A I've ever been to, because I'm pretty sure he was on cocaine when he wrote this movie.
Well, I did not know until... Thank you, Wikipedia. $3 your way, I promise. That he's the son of Mel Tolkien, who was the head writer on your show of shows. Like this dude's got the son of pedigree right there. Your show of shows was one of the most popular shows on television for many, many years. Mel Brooks got his start there. Like a whole bunch of other things, but whatever. Stephen Tolkien told us he was not a Marvel guy before getting this movie. Then he went ahead and read some Marvel comics, but he wasn't really that much of a comic book guy in general until he got the role and read a little bit of the source material.
Yeah, well, that's what I mean is like, even if he did the research, it still doesn't feel reflected in the movie at all.
No, it doesn't. No.
Because again, they moved Steve Rogers to California. They don't have Bucky. And I want to make this clear. I do not expect my superhero adaptations to have every single thing I like. As we love to talk about on this show, is the fact that, for starters, we love Iron Man 3.
Oh, yes.
And Iron Man 3 gets a lot of shit. One of the reasons why is because they made the Mandarin not the Mandarin. Well, I will continue to argue that I thought that was brilliant because, let's be honest, the Mandarin is just the Fu Manchu stand-in.
Yes.
And Fu Manchu is a hella racist character. So turning that around, I thought was a brilliant move. You can disagree with me, but I again, one, I don't want to push, continue pushing things like racist and sexist narratives from the past, but also just like it's okay to be creative. It's okay to kind of twist the continuity, the canon around.
Hmm.
But this movie, the Albert Pyun Captain America, both versions, both cuts,
Yeah.
it's weird how little there is. Like the DNA is not there.
No, it's not. And especially even like the scenes where Captain America goes and visits his old general. And like when he's in the old folks home with horrible old folks makeup. It and God, some of the worst depiction of dementia I've seen in a movie in a while. I know it's 1990, but whatever. Like the way that he snaps in and out, it just doesn't feel right. It feels like they didn't quite grasp the concept there. But setting Steve Rogers as born in California itself kind of loses the plot because of how much his origins are very East Coast, and he's not even the first person to do it. I remember I think it was John Byrne who tried to change his origin having him being born in Ohio, if I remember correctly in the comics.
So I mean, mind you, Steve's birthplace and childhood have changed several times because he's
Yes.
actually originally a Lower East Side
Lower East
kid,
Side, yes, exactly.
which is perfectly in tune with what like early Marvel was like. As I talked about
Yeah,
with Fantastic Four, about, it's very much in New York. Like that's part of its DNA, right? With Yancey Street, with just things like the fact that they lived in the Baxter Building, which was not a building they built or even originally owned. Like eventually, I'm pretty sure they did buy the Baxter Building at some point, right?
they did, and that's how they made Four Freedoms Plaza.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But it's like Marvel, early Marvel was very much a Manhattan thing. So Steve's original origin was the Lower East Side, and then they made him into a Brooklyn kid, which actually works because,
Yeah.
like, in the way we work culturally, is that Manhattan doesn't have that lower class, working class vibe to it anymore, right?
Yeah.
Like there are working class people who still live in Manhattan. I'm not denying that, and even especially if you go the further north you got, and I'm not talking about Harlem because Harlem is pricing up,
Oh, sure.
right?
Yeah.
But there are still lots of working class people in Manhattan. And, I shouldn't even say working class, because if you have to work for a living, you are technically working class. That is actually what it means. But, people who are lower on the socioeconomic spectrum. And like Manhattan is not that in our mind anymore. But Brooklyn still is. Even if
Yeah.
Brooklyn, where I still live, is hella gentrified and has lots of rich people, it still has that flavor to it,
Yes.
right?
Yeah.
There might come a time when Brooklyn is so gentrified, they're like, we have to get Steve Rogers out of Brooklyn because that doesn't work at all. I don't know where they would put him.
Yeah.
But Ohio does not work because, I'll be honest, like Steve Rogers also feels poor to me.
Yes.
And he's been depicted as poor. I mean, it's not consistent, but even when you don't know much about Steve, he's got that vibe off of him of lower socioeconomic. It's part of the whole, he's a scrawny kid who doesn't have much. He's an orphan, right?
Yeah.
He doesn't have much in this world. That's
Right.
why he ends up being this fantastic Captain America.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, moving him to Ohio is stupid. Moving him to California is even dumber, honestly.
And my favorite part. So like the California thing, whatever. Let's focus on the Italian thing because like they originally they told the story about this in the Q&A, but it's also listed here on Wikipedia because it's true, is that they were originally going to film in Italy because it makes sense. If you're forcing them to have Red Skull be from Italy, why don't you film in Italy? Where did they film this movie? Yugoslavia.
So if I had to make a guess, was that they insisted on making Red Skull Italian because they were going to film in Italy, right?
Yes, exactly. Yeah.
And then they never bothered to change it back once they realized they wasn't going to have it's just malpractice at this point.
Yeah.
Because honestly, in terms of vibes, I feel like if you're filming, Yugoslavia is technically Eastern Europe, and that's not far from Germany at this point.
Yeah.
So but again, I'm sure there are multiple reasons that factor into this weird ass decision.
And let me also point out, Stan Lee did film a cameo for this movie, and it was cut, so it's somewhere in a can somewhere rotting. So Yeah.
Albert Pyun, you could have put, I know he's dead,
I
but
know.
Albert Pyun, you could have put that in the movie.
I know. I know.
Like
I
it makes
feel
me
it.
wonder when he actually made this cut because, Stan Lee having a cameo is such a tradition at this
I
point,
know. Yeah. Maybe,
you know?
I mean, I'm sure he made this long before, because again, it traveled with him like wherever he went, essentially.
Yeah, we don't know again because he's dead now and it was a
Yeah.
recent death. So we don't know, but I would say like Stan Lee having cameos in every Marvel movie, it was so well known that he has a cameo in Big Hero 6,
Oh yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
you know?
Yeah.
So
And we're not driving home enough. Like one of the reasons why one of the reasons why this was shown at AAIFF to begin with. Albert Pyun is well regarded. Albert Pyun, Sword and the Sorcerer. I've never seen, but I know like it says right here in the description, highest grossing independent film of 1982. This made $36 million in the U.S. Sword and Sorcerer, and I've heard other people find it, like it's one of those like not quite hidden gem movies, but it's pretty well regarded for what it is.
that's just it. Like none of these movies are going to win awards.
Of
He
course.
does make, let's be honest, he did make schlock. I'm just looking at his list. The only movie of his besides Cap that I've seen is Cyborg.
Mm-hmm.
That's the one with Van Damme.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Not a good movie.
Yeah.
But the thing is, he makes movies at least that he's passionate about. And he
Absolutely.
has fun making them.
Yeah.
And he makes movies for other people with the same interest.
Oh yeah. And
people who
no, go
Yeah,
ahead.
people who like schlocky stuff, basically. There's nothing wrong with that. I mean, I've talked about bad movies that I love, and movies that are just ridiculous. And there's nothing wrong with that, And again, Albert Pyun carved out a place for himself.
What I like seeing more than anything else is directors getting their due and being able to see the director's vision as it was intended. Because clearly, this version of the film, for good or for bad, was how he wanted it. It's not how it wound up coming out in theaters, and it's not how it wound up playing in the end. But at least now some people have had the opportunity to see a director's cut vision like this of this film, and all directors should have that shot. Like, I'm not the biggest Snyder fan, but whatever. At least Snyder got to get his version of Justice League out there.
It was still an improvement. We did an episode about that. We all had to agree it was better, even if it was still not great.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And this, like, again, this was better. It's still not a good movie, but it's such a huge improvement. I told, like, basically, trying to lump the themes together makes a huge difference in how you perceive the movie.
Absolutely.
I know not everyone we were with agreed. Our friend David was just like, he thought these like flashbacks didn't work, but I also think he hasn't seen the original. So
yeah.
the one thing, like a good example of, I think, why it worked was Bill Milby is in this movie.
Yes.
He is a fairly minor character. He is one of the soldiers who's in the room when Cap becomes Cap.
Yes.
When he gets this the serum. And then later on, he ends up being one of the generals that's actually conspiring with Red Skull.
Yes.
And the thing is, I don't even remember. I remembered he was in it when I saw it, but I didn't remember anything about his character.
Right.
And watching the film, I did not even make the connection between the two characters. What Albert Pyun did, and this was actually incredibly smart, was that he has a scene where the general has an extended scene, and then he intercuts it with the flashback.
Yes.
To Bill Mooney's version of the same character. So now it's the same dude.
Yeah.
So this general who's on the side of the bad guy, and he's always been a bad guy.
Yeah.
And it also, and the thing is, it lets you make other revelations about the story. Like, this version of Cap still has the whole like it's not Dr. Erskine this time.
No, it's not.
Right?
It's definitely not Erskine because they could, he's not. There's no Germans, so of course it's not Erskine.
But he gets killed. But the thing is, now you're like, oh, it was probably Bill Mooney's character that had something to do with it.
Yeah.
Like, it's not explicitly stated, but you can infer that and make these connections that make the movie make a lot more sense.
In fact, it wasn't even. It wasn't even a guy in this. It was Dr. Maria Vaselli.
Who is also the creator of Red Skull.
Yes,
Which
yes.
is what again, with that part was perfectly clear that it's the same person, even in both versions, because again, when you do
Correct.
chronological, but at least when in the Albert Pyun cut, you could, again, we're not overly centered on her.
Yeah. Hmm.
And also the fact that he didn't do it as a chronological cut means it's easier, again, to make those connections, because there's even a part where Red Skull's like, we were basically brothers.
Yeah. Yeah. It kind of almost like a Mozart Salieri type of relationship going on between the two of them here, in some ways, piano included. But yeah, driving home like that forever rivalry of like, you're the better version of me. We were both created by the same person, that sort of thing.
Yeah, I mean, because I thought one of the best uses of making the 1940 scenes in the flashback was that when he's fighting Red Skull in the castle in the present day,
Yeah.
they can intercut it with him fighting him in the 1940s.
Yes.
And I already said this in this episode, is that it gives you the whole, like, it's the forever war. We're repeating the same patterns.
Yeah.
Where previously those two fights really had no connection to each other. Like, you can, in your head, you can do the gymnastics and be like, oh, he's always fighting the Red Skull. But the movie makes it more explicit for the viewer, I think is a good idea. Like, I don't think the viewers need everything explained to them.
No, they don't.
But when you create a work of art, you should give your viewers or your readers or whatever the tools to make connections.
Yeah. Yep.
And here, Albert Pyun is definitely trying to help you make those connections.
I will point out also this director's cut had an entirely different score than the version that was released to VHS.
Well, it didn't really have a score,
exactly.
is the point, because he's just using library music in a lot of the scenes, because it's clear he wanted to do something different.
Oh, sure. Yeah.
And I'm hoping that if this somehow ever gets a real release, that someone will come in and at least give it a real score.
Yeah.
Because again, it's all library music. It's weird sax stuff and synth stuff, and it just doesn't fit. It's not terrible, but it doesn't elevate the movie in any way, shape, or form.
I would like to see this be released digitally in one form or another for more than just the festival crowd to be able to see it. I don't necessarily believe that's ever going to wind up happening, but it would be nice. But either way, I'm super glad that we got the opportunity.
Yeah, well, I will say that, okay, they gave them the permission, because they still had to get permission to show it at this film festival.
Yes, they did. Yes.
And that's already a big step there. And it's already been shown twice, or at least two versions of it have been shown. Again, we're not clear on what they showed at this other film festival. But I will say, in a world where Disney can at least acknowledge, like, the Boba Fett cartoon from the holiday special, that maybe there's a chance we might see this cut. Because remember, George Lucas wanted the Star Wars holiday special basically wiped from the face of the earth, because it is very bad. I've seen it multiple times. It is very bad.
Yeah.
See, I do watch bad things and enjoy them. I'll be honest, I don't really enjoy it so much. It's just like, it's like a, I don't know. It's self-torture. It's like wearing a hair shirt.
Oh my God. Yeah.
It's like self-flagellation. But they did. But the thing is, Disney has done two things that have made me be like, well, we're not going to completely pretend it didn't exist. And one is that they took the animated segment, which is the first appearance of Boba Fett, and that animated segment, which is animated by Nelvana. Fun fact there.
Yeah.
Same people who did Care Bears.
Yep.
And they put that on Disney Plus. The other thing they did is that there is, I think it's a Star Wars Lego holiday special.
Oh.
Which I'm pretty sure it's Lego, but they did do a modern Star Wars holiday special on Disney Plus. And the fact that in order to do that, you have to acknowledge the original existence.
Oh, absolutely. Right? Yeah. Yep. You have to go for that B. Arthur and Life Day action right there. That you get.
It is the Lego Star Wars holiday special. It came out.
Yep.
God, when did this thing come out?
Oh, and you know what? So even looking at it here, just to go further, so the version that was released that was shown at least once, if not twice, there was also a quote unquote director's cut that Pyun himself was selling from his website, which I remember mentioned at the beginning of the movie before we actually started it, and that is a entirely separate director's edition based off a different work print. That he himself was selling from his website while he was still alive. So this version that has been seen once, if not twice, is different than the one that other human beings may very well have DVD copies of from when he was selling it at that point. So
it'll be interesting to see people compare them. Yeah, sorry, I was playing with a toy and it got loud.
No.
Shut up.
I'm still not even hearing it, so that's
okay,
perfectly fine.
Good. Because it has a voice, so I thought the mic would pick it up. No, it's like a fidget toy, so I was just like fiddling with it, and then it was like, "Hi!" And I'm like, "God damn it!"
Yeah.
I just want to fidget. I need something else to fidget with. There we go.
And hey, maybe we'll even get to see the air cut of Suicide Squad at some point. You know, who the hell knows? If that, I don't know if I really need it. I don't know if anybody really needs it, but it's a director's cut. So
I do like alternate cuts of movies.
So do I.
Sometimes, like we watched Superman Redeemed.
Oh yeah.
You know, and that was enjoyable. I have mixed feelings about Superman 2, the Donner cut. Mostly because I just really hate the reverse the planet shit, but everything else I think is an improvement.
I would agree with you. Almost everything else is, and that it just the fact that so much of the film was filmed and then completely scrapped is kind of just crazy when you think about it. You know, that there's such there were certain parts that they had to keep because the Lester stuff, you know, was filmed further than what Donner had, but so much of it was filmed. Crazy to me.
Yeah, it's always insane when you find out like how much of a movie exists before they had to throw it out, and they're like,
yeah.
I mean, mind you, we have entire finished movies that are being thrown out now because that's the era we live in.
Yep.
Actually, a great example. You know, I want to keep this comic timing relevant, but no, I do kind of recommend this. You know, in terms of alternate cuts, but the alternate cut of Caligula.
Ooh.
I think it's called Caligula, the Ultimate Cut, I think is what it's actually called.
Okay.
The thing is, this is not like we took the movie that existed and then we just added in some new scenes, right? This movie, the Ultimate Cut, uses none of the shots from the original movie.
Fascinating.
They shot so much footage and like they did so many alternate takes and all that that they were able to reconstruct the entire film from all that unused footage.
Wow.
Like it shows at some points because there's at least one scene because look, you know, for those who are not familiar with Caligula, it was Penthouse Films. So it was, you know, kind of dirty. Okay, I hate saying kind of. It was very dirty. It was incredibly dirty. My father would talk about this movie because it was so dirty.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah, it's Malcolm McDowell. It's crazy. You know, let me make sure I'm not screwing up any of the facts. Yeah, Malcolm McDowell is Caligula.
Yep.
And it was made by Penthouse Films, and there were issues in its making. Like it definitely, yeah, see, I'm just sticking a check. Yeah, I forgot. Gore Vidal wrote this movie.
Oh, wow.
And he kind of disavows it because, again, like being Penthouse Films, they kind of had to play it up and make it dirtier than it was originally intended to be. There is so much sex in it. There's nudity like crazy in it. But yeah, they decided to make the Ultimate Cut basically tries to bring it closer to the original screenplay because Gore Vidal disavowed it because they changed so much of it. It's like barely recognizable as the screenplay he turned in, and he was not happy about that. And he can be publicly unhappy about that because he's Gore Vidal, right? But this was only a few years ago. I saw it in the theater. I'm just curious what year this was. Yeah. But I saw it at Alamo and at the Ultimate Cut at Alamo. I've never seen the original cut, but they explained even there's like a title card that it has none of the shots from the original version. But since they shot so much extra footage, they were able to reconstruct it to be a closer adaptation or not, you know, a reflection of what's actually on the screen. However, there are a few parts where you can tell that they had less than ideal choices of shots. Mostly because, like I said, this is Penthouse Films.
Right.
They want this to be loaded with sex. They want you to see titties like crazy. You see so many dicks. And there's at least one shot where, like, there's two guards, and one of the guards is fluffing himself. And the thing is, I know it's probably because in the original, he probably is like erect in that shot, and they don't have any other shots of him erect. So they're
Oh
just like, we'll just
dear.
do the fluff one. No one's going to notice.
Oh
I'm
yeah.
like, I noticed. I noticed.
Oh my God.
But yeah, if you're interested in alternate cuts and you don't mind seeing some really horrible, there are, like rape scenes. Trigger warning here. I will say trigger as opposed to content warning, but
Yeah.
content warning and trigger warning. There's sexual violence in this movie. So if that makes you uncomfortable, like don't watch it.
Fair enough.
But if you are curious, it is an interesting watch.
Yeah.
Again, and they even added like an animated opening. That's completely new. That's the only completely new footage in it.
Okay.
It's just but that's what I'm thinking of when we're talking about like this Pyun cut and or any other cut where you're trying to reconstruct parts of the movie that didn't originally exist.
Well, I mean, I'll just throw out there. I mean, not stuff that didn't already exist, but basically any Ridley Scott movie has almost every single one of them has a director's cut. So most of the time it's for the better. Like Blade Runner, for example, like the Blade Runner Ultimate cut is probably the one that most people go to as the best version of Blade Runner. But Alien also has a director's cut. I know. Kingdom of
Aliens.
Heaven.
I know that's James Cameron.
Yes.
And not Ridley Scott. But Aliens,
Yes,
I would
that
say
too.
the extended cut is the version that is watched in my household.
Yep.
Because some of the stuff they put back explains plot points better.
Yes. Yes.
We're also in the Nodis household. We are very much Alan Smiley cuts of Dune.
Oh yes. Yes.
That is our version of Dune, or rather the original Dune, not the Timothy Chalamet movies, which we adore.
Yes.
Or at least me and my brother love those movies. I don't know my mom, but my brother and I are like, those movies are amazing.
I dig 'em
Timothy
too.
Chalamet is a fucking genius.
Yep. I completely agree with that as well. What is it? Kingdom of Heaven? Is that the one that like is 800 times better?
I've never watched it. I've heard what you just heard. Yeah, that it is a
Yeah.
much better film because again, a lot of when it comes to director's cuts, is that it's sometimes things are cut for time and it ends up being like plot points.
Yeah.
They're not huge plot points, but they are little things that smooth the passage of the movie.
Yes.
And they end up getting cut and it makes the movie like kind of janky.
Oh yeah.
And like I feel like now we're just talking about the philosophy of director's cuts.
Yeah.
That to me is probably the most common type of good director's cuts because there are director's cuts that I watch them and I'm like, why does this exist? It doesn't elevate it. It doesn't do any better. It's just like you didn't like that scene, so you took it out and you put the scene in instead.
Right.
Talking about like the special editions are director's cuts, of Star Wars. I'm sorry. I say special edition, immediately my brain says Star Wars. I don't know about other people, so I apologize. But to me, special edition just means Star Wars.
Oh yeah.
Those I'm mixed on because some of the changes I think are for the better, but then George Lucas made some stupid ass decisions in those too.
Yeah.
Sorry, did you just say something?
I was gonna say Godfather Coda, the death of Michael Corleone. I hadn't watched the Godfather films until a couple of like a year or two back. And then I sat down and I watched the recut of Godfather Part 3 once I got up to it, which is Godfather Coda, The Death of Michael Corleone. I compared it to Godfather Part 3. It is such an improvement. Completely different opening scene that's way more Godfather-y. And some of the other edits and cuts to it along the way just make it a much smoother movie. It's not a perfect movie by far, don't get me wrong, but it's way better than the original Godfather Part 3 that was released.
Yeah, well, like I think because right now what we're getting into, what we're talking about is basically the director's cuts that are reconstructions.
Yes,
which
exactly.
is the Donner cut, which is this Albert Pyun cut of Captain America.
Yep.
Highlander 2, the Renegade cut.
Oh, yeah.
Is a reconstruction that takes out all the alien stuff and actually makes it into an okay movie. I'm not going to say it's great, but it is less embarrassing and actually watchable.
Yep.
Sorry, my brain is trying to remember if there's any others along those lines, but
I mean, all the extended cuts of Lord of the Rings. Like, I mean, I know that doesn't exactly.
Well, those are the first category wherein like stuff got cut for time. Because let's be honest, that stuff probably just got cut for time because it's already a 3-hour movie.
That's true. Yeah.
You can't put a 4-hour movie in theaters unless you're in India.
Yep.
Which, fun fact, I learned that every movie in India gets an intermission.
Yeah, it's true.
It does not matter. I think I sent you that article. It does not matter how short the movie is. Like
Yeah.
Flow, I think is 79 minutes. It still would have gotten an intermission because the intermission is built into the culture and the movie theaters insist on it because it's built into the culture. The intermission is when everybody goes and gets snacks.
Oh yeah.
So the movie theater's pissed if they don't get an intermission. So like they said that some people who want to sell their movies in India are like, well, we're going to have to find a break spot for this American movie. Otherwise, they're just going to cut it in half at the stupidest moment.
Oh, I will also point out, talk about like the longer cuts, and this is where I think we can end it here. But the fact that there are entire movies that are then turned into miniseries because that's how much we're left. Quentin Tarantino is a perfect example of that. The Hateful Eight was turned into a miniseries because that's how much material there was, and he recut it. He added in everything that he wanted there to be, and it's if not a 2-part or a 3-part miniseries.
It's on Netflix.
It is on Netflix, and then what was it? Australia? I think they did the same thing over at Hulu, where they recut it as a miniseries as well.
Yeah, I'll have to check that out. I am aware of the Hateful Eight recut. I just haven't watched it.
Yeah.
Even though I'll say that is insane because I remember watching that movie. We saw it together at the Village East in 70 millimeter. I love watching movies in 70 millimeter.
With an intermission.
An intermission. We got a little program book as well. I took a stack of them. I still have them, somewhere.
Yeah.
But that movie is so dialogue dense.
Oh my God,
that Quentin Tarantino had more talking.
Yeah, I know. It's absolutely crazy there. Yeah, and the Australia one, I've never even seen the original Australia, but I know that they recut that for Hulu as like a 3-part
my mom
miniseries.
watched it and didn't like it.
Okay,
I'll have to check it out on my own. Like it, because I you know what it was is I think she watched it and she thought it was new and it's not new, and it really threw her off.
Yeah.
I'll have to check. I am aware of what you're talking about though. I'll have to check that out as well. But there's the philosophy of director's cuts, and the Albert Pyun one is, I would say, more of a complete reconstruction.
Absolutely.
To try to make it a better movie. Yeah. But the thing is, like, unlike other films where they have to significantly add to it, stuff that was taken out. I didn't feel like there was that much that was added except the child murder scene.
No.
I mean, I'll have to rewatch the original, but this was just moving things around. It's similar in spirit to the Machete order of Star Wars. Where they try to recut it, not just to get rid of Jar Jar, but just to make like the prequels less, crappy. Which I don't believe the prequels are crappy. I really like them. But
I would love to someday somehow get a hold, and I know it's never going to happen, of Topher Grace's Machete cut, because I know he does that to both Star Wars and to other movies. Like, he will completely recut them from the ground up just for his friends. and he's shown them multiple times in that. And we almost forgot the biggest one that hasn't made it into theaters, but it almost did: the Schumacher director's cut of Batman Forever, which supposedly adds back in all the Bruce Wayne stuff that was cut to make that I don't know if it actually does make it a better movie, but Kevin Smith swears by it as, like, if this was the movie that had been released, it would have been a very different situation. So who the hell knows?
Yeah, I mean, it still did well.
Oh, no, it did.
I'm not going to say critically acclaimed, but it was liked well enough, and I still enjoy it. I think I do want to rewatch it at some point.
Yeah.
I like it more on the style. That's like when Joel Schumacher's doing his best Joel Schumachering.
Yeah.
And then he went completely off the rails with Batman and Robin. I don't, know with that one.
Yeah.
The thing is, though, is like we're talking about Warner Brothers properties, and if they've already been willing to release the Snyder Cut, then it's not completely unheard of. And
I agree.
It doesn't require a huge budget outlay on their part. There's no reason for them to not do it.
Yeah. Akiva Goldsman is still championing this Schumacher cut, and he still has some good power over there, so it's possible that it may wind up happening eventually, or at least let the festivals get it one way or the other, similar to this cut that we saw.
So talking about I think we don't have I don't have too much more to say about Albert Pyun Captain America.
Yeah.
Again, that it is a vast improvement
Yes.
on this movie.
Hmm.
Still not good movie.
Yeah.
Um, but I think this, like what we're talking about, leads into a larger point about movie theaters,
Hmm.
honestly.
Yeah.
So like the hand wringing the past few years has been like movie theaters are suffering,
Hmm.
right? And people don't want to go to, like, we know people who'll be like, ugh, why would I go to a theater to watch that? I can just watch it on my comfy ass couch, at home,
Hmm.
and I can pause it whenever I want to go to the bathroom. Like people, missing the point that like we go to the movies, because there's magic in this place,
Heartbreak feels good in a place like this.
because it's there are multiple reasons I will champion movie theaters. And one is like seeing a movie with a crowd
Hmm.
is absolutely fantastic.
Oh yeah.
A very recent example is Weapons.
Oh
You
my
saw, you
God.
finally saw
Yes.
that. The
Yes.
ending plays so much better if you're in a crowd.
Oh my God.
You spend 2 hours incredibly tense. I
Oh.
felt sick to my stomach watching them. Like I literally wanted to throw up during the scenes of that movie.
Yeah.
Just if you have not seen the movie, it's not because it's gross. There
Hmm.
are gross things in Weapons, but it's thematic gross that made me want to throw up.
I'm looking forward to two things at New York Comic Con this year. One, all the Sinners dances, which I'm sure there'll probably be at least two or three of them, probably one involving a Deadpool, or and not or and and sorry, it's late. And the Aunt Gladys run, which I'm sure will wind up happening because I guarantee you there's going to be multiple Aunt Gladyses and they're going to wind up having a run. That's all I will say about that.
Yeah, I think more. I mean, mind you, it's on the poster that we'll see a lot of kids doing the run.
Oh, definitely.
Which is not the Naruto run, but it is close enough. It is close enough that when I went to see the movie at Alamo,
Yep.
Alamo had like, they have a pre-show,
Mm-hmm.
and as part of the pre-show, they were showing like they were putting the Naruto run into like other movies.
Of course, of course.
So they were making that connection.
Oh my God.
But but like watching the end of Weapons
Mm-hmm.
with a crowd, and the entire crowd just lost it
Oh,
at
yeah.
the end there.
Yep.
We were all like, again, we don't want to spoil this
Yeah.
movie. It's excellent.
Fantastic.
But the ending is like, it's so cathartic.
It is. Yep.
But no, with movie theaters, like seeing a movie in a movie theater, one being in the crowd feels great.
Mm-hmm.
Like we've all seen the clip of Avengers Endgame,
Oh yeah.
on your left, and everybody's like, yeah, there's that. There's also, I think, in this era where we are like hyper connected, and we have our phones all the time,
Mm-hmm.
that being in a movie theater and being forced to like look at a screen and not at your phone.
Yes.
And I know some people can't even manage that. They still look at their phone. And that's why I go to Alamo, because Alamo does not allow that. I did have to narc on somebody the last time I was there.
Oh,
saw
boy.
13 Assassins. I was watching 13 Assassins. It was a repertory thing that they were doing because of Sony.
Mm-hmm.
Sony has the sequel to Ghost of Tsukushima coming out.
Oh nice.
Yeah, and they're showing a bunch of samurai movies. So I went to see 13 Assassins, and the guy next to me kept looking at his phone.
Oh,
he was
yeah.
playing like fantasy basketball or football or whatever.
Man.
Yeah, what is it? August? What's playing in August? We've got baseball
yeah.
and basketball, right?
Oh
no, basketball's not up
no,
yet.
basketball's not up yet. Football,
is baseball.
Football drafts are happening right now.
Yeah, so it's either
yeah.
football or he was playing a game on his phone, and he had it on, dark, but it still just annoyed me, so I had to narc on him.
Yeah.
And then the dude next to me started snoring, and I'm like, well, shit, I've used up my Karen pass for this one.
Hey.
So I mostly was just jabbing him with my elbow.
You still didn't have nearly as much snoring as that one guy when I saw Fantastic Four for the second time. And literally from start to finish, it's not like it was the movie. He was there to sleep. That's all I have to say.
I'm gonna have to start narking on those people too. 'Cause,
Yeah.
If you don't mind, I'm just gonna go into a little side note here.
Okay.
When I saw Babylon,
Yeah.
did you see Babylon?
No, I did not.
Okay. I enjoyed the movie, though I think it goes off the rails like a lot towards the end, and I think that's partly it's that and the fact that it's 3 hours or even longer than that.
Yeah.
But I saw it, and there was a dude next to me who I do not know what his issue is. If he was just tired or he was super drunk.
Mm-hmm.
But I will say it was like watching a National Geographic special.
Oh, no.
He came in, he sat down, he ordered stuff, he fell asleep almost right away.
Oh
He
no.
woke up when they brought his popcorn and he was eating the popcorn and then he like fell asleep again. And then he woke up and he ordered a refill of the popcorn. He hadn't even finished the first bucket of popcorn.
Oh
Like
no.
they brought the second bucket and he still had the first bucket.
Oh no.
And then like when he woke up again, he ordered actual food, like a sandwich, I think a
Okay.
chicken sandwich and fries.
Uh-huh.
And then he fell asleep in the fries.
Oh no.
He put it in his lap and he went like this. His face luckily did not make it, but his hands went plop right into the
Oh
fries. He
my
had ketchup all over his
God.
head. And he just slept like that.
What the hell?
At some point, I feel bad. I really should have written a ticket to Alamo and be like, can we do a wellness check? Because I'm really worried about
Oh
this
my
dude.
God. Yeah.
Like,
Are you sure you weren't sitting next to a zombie? Like,
don't know. When the movie was over, I left and he was still out of it. I
oh my
came back
God.
because I just wanted to see if he had left the theater. And he had.
Damn.
And it was less than like it was like 3-4 minutes later I came back after I went to the
Oh my
bathroom, but he was
God.
gone. So at least he had he was conscious enough to leave and hopefully pay his bill.
Good. Good. I'm
But
glad.
that's what I was like, I need to start actually talking to Alamo about this because that's freaky.
Ugh. Yeah.
But anyway, going back to movie theaters.
Yeah.
I feel like I've been defending movie theaters, and then I talk about the National Geographic dude who looked like Will Poulter, I want to point out.
Oh no.
It was like a passed out Will Poulter next to me for 3 hours. But like, yeah, I think movie theaters are great because like they get you to focus, and that's why. I mean, honestly, it's probably one of the reasons I saw Superman 5 times because I had to just sit in a room and watch this movie, and I didn't have to look at my phone or anything, and it was nice. It was soothing. But at the same time, while we are wringing our hands about how magical the movie theater experience is and how important movie theaters are, I still feel like studios aren't giving them the support they need.
I agree.
Because, oh, one, there's obviously the digital release is so quick at this
Oh yeah.
point.
Mm-hmm.
And I think this is relevant to our show right now is Superman, them announcing the digital date was literally like what, 2 days before?
Yeah.
And
I talked about this a little bit with Brent, how you brought this up. So yeah.
yeah, it really, yeah, I'm sorry I didn't listen to the episode yet.
No, it's fine.
But yeah, I thought that was awful because a lot of theaters had already planned their schedule for the next week, right?
Yeah.
Luckily, I looked back at I was looking at the Alamo schedule, and they had so many screenings of Superman that week. Fortunately, nobody bought tickets, so they switched them. They got rid of them and they switched to some other movie. I do not know what movie they switched to, but they were able to pivot. But the fact is, like, that just is so anti-movie theater for me. Like, and mind you, it's hard to just tell movie theaters without telling the public as well. Maybe you want that digital release to be a surprise. But, again, it's like, how do you support movie theaters in this day and age with that kind of environment that we live in? Like,
Yeah.
like, because you want to promote your digital release, but, like, you need to give movie theaters a chance to be movie theaters.
Yeah.
And another example, like, yeah, we're supporting movie theaters and Netflix, again, well, going back to the beginning of of last episode, actually, K-pop Demon Hunters putting it in movie theaters, and that was not the original plan, but it ended up being fantastic for them.
Yeah.
At the same time, though, it's only one weekend, and I'm pretty sure you could get a lot more mileage out of it.
I guarantee you it'll be back. It's gonna be
Yeah, I
back.
mean, I could see them doing occasional like sing-along showings. I think it is. I mean, I'm glad it's sold out at like Alamo, but especially since the tickets were $40.
Jesus Christ.
Yeah, because they had a special event fee,
Oh,
because they were charging. They had the ticket, and then they had like the extra few dollars for like the props, and then they tacked on the extra $12 for special event fee, which I was looking at, like, I think the Draft House subreddit, and people were like, they already charged you like $4 or $5 for the props. What is the rest of this $12 going to? What the fuck?
yeah. What the hell?
Yeah. So yeah, sorry, I'm like trying to do the math in my head, but yeah, like
No.
it's just crazy. Because the tickets at Alamo are like $20 now, which is insane. So yeah, no, it was $18 and they tacked on $12. It's like what is even going on there?
Well, that's also why I have A-list because I go to 2 movies in a month that I paid for my pass essentially.
Yeah, well, yeah, Alamo season pass is $30 a month. So yeah, same. I get the two movies. I think I would prefer A-list, but Alamo is the closest movie theater to me that
Yeah.
offers a kind of pass. The closest
Hmm.
movie theater to me is actually Nighthawk, but Nighthawk does not do,
No.
unlimited passes. That's a
Correct.
small independent chain.
Hmm.
But yeah, like it's just talking about I think one way you could get people back in the theaters, if you're so obsessed with movie theaters and people going to the movie theaters, is that director's cuts and stuff are special events that you can put in a theater.
Yeah.
Like we went to a movie theater to watch the Albert Pyun cut of Captain America.
Hmm. Yes, indeed.
And we had the screenwriter there, who, again, I am pretty sure he was on massive amounts of cocaine when he wrote this movie, because for a Q&A, it was remarkably uninformative.
Yeah.
Like he seems like a perfectly nice human being, and everything, but he had so little to offer, like of behind the scenes stuff. I'm like,
Well,
that man was high,
we,
you
we
know.
did we did at least learn that that he had something to do with Masters of the Universe
Masters of the
when it came out.
Universe.
Yeah. Yeah. So we did learn that much. So
Yeah,
that's
that he did some ghost work on that, and he's glad he didn't get credited because, Masters of the Universe.
yes,
I think it
exactly.
was 1987.
Yep. Yep.
But yeah, like I think I think for movie theaters to thrive, we need to go back to what we used to do with movies and make it a special event.
Hmm.
Like you used to be able to go to the theater, people would dress up, and you had the organ in a
Yep.
lot of theaters, and they would play the organ live before a movie. We got to experience that here in New York, or rather in New Jersey. See, we still love New Jersey.
Hmm.
At the Lowe's Jersey City, they have a working organ, and we saw Blazing Saddles, and they
Yes, we
actually had
did.
someone. Yeah, they had someone playing the organ. That was really lovely, and I think that is what we're going to have to do with movie theaters. And they can't say, "Oh, it's too expensive to do that stuff." And I'm like, Alamo is $20. You're
Yeah,
charging me $20, and that doesn't even include the food that I might order.
I know. Yeah,
Like, come on, man. Like,
seriously.
where is the money going at this point? I don't even know. I feel like a conspircy theorist.
Well,
Like, that's
all,
how
all,
they get you.
all I know is that we've covered a lot today. This was a good director's cut, and let's go ahead and wrap this sucker up because we went a long time to the point where Audacity froze on me. So it's a damn good thing we have a Zoom copy of this because I don't know if I even have the Audacity version anymore. So
Oh no.
we'll find out. Either way, Chris, where could they find you?
I mean, I'm on Blue Sky, Lampbane, at Blue Sky Social. I do have a piece in Engadget that I'm hoping Ian will put in the show notes where I
Mhm.
talk about Star Wars Visions.
Yep.
And I just do general like other stuff like holiday gift guide stuff for them. And yeah, you can just hit me up on Blue Sky if you want to complain. I also do look at Facebook occasionally, so you can comment on there or comment on our Patreon. It actually feels great. I don't know, Ian's never said this, but it feels great when you guys comment on stuff.
Oh
You
yeah,
know, it
absolutely.
it like one comment, we're to the moon. It's great.
We're getting some good YouTube comments as well, so it's been working out pretty well lately.
Yes, so yeah, please like and subscribe on YouTube. I can't believe I just said that. I also will point out, I don't know the next time we're going to record for comic timing. I would assume we're going to talk Peacemaker at some point. I wouldn't
Probably,
mind
yeah.
being in that because I have a bone to pick, and I know we've only had one episode so far.
All right, fair
Uh,
enough. Yep.
uh, but uh, but yeah, I want to. I'll just say, we'll see. Hopefully, some of you will be at New York Comic Con in October, and I will be there, and you can come say hello,
Yep.
and maybe we'll do a meetup. I think that would be a really cool idea, Ian.
Yeah, yeah, why not?
I'm
We could we,
saying,
we, we could certainly make something happen.
yeah,
Yeah.
I'm saying it on the podcast so that he can't just forget about it.
Anybody who's going to be at New York Comic Con, we can certainly plan something when we get closer because I've got my 4 days, so I will be there.
Yeah, let us know if you're in town. I'm also throwing around the idea. Again, I would need multiple people to want to do this, but if anybody wanted to do like a little tour of New York City, we could do like comic book or superhero movie related locations.
Yeah.
So that's something I would love to do, but I need to know if anyone's interested in that, which is why I'm mentioning it now.
Well, you know what? You know where you can let us know whether you're interested. The email address for Comic Timing is comictiming@gmail.com. Facebook.com/Comic Timing is where you can find us on Facebook. That's also where the Comic Timing fan group is. So that's a great place to let us know if you're interested in any of that. Of course, YouTube.com @Comic Timing Podcast, Instagram Comic Timing Podcast, Threads Instagram Comic Timing Podcast, and Blue Sky. We are just straight up Comic Timing. So for Chris, for me, as always, there's always time for comics.
Apparently, there's 3 hours plus time for comics.